Bingo! We're back. 4 o'clock rock. Okay, this is Hawaii State of Clean Energy, the flagship show for the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum with my co-host Sharon Moriwaki. Hi, Sharon.
Aloha.
Yeah, nice to see your smiling face. Okay, we have other smiling faces here. We have Lauren Tonokawa, and she is a very important person at what we used to refer to as the Hawaii Energy Accelerator, but now we're going to refer to it as the Elemental Energy Accelerator, or Elemental Accelerator.
Elemental Accelerator.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the show. We're going to find out all about that. Okay, Vincent Kimura, and he runs a thing called Smart Yields. We're going to find out exactly how smart the yields are and how we can, get in on the yields somehow. Where he's going, which is global. We're going to find out. He's sitting right here at the table talking to us. Happy. Okay, let's begin with you, Lauren.
Okay.
What's happening?
Well, in April, we formed a new partnership with a philanthropic and investment platform called Emerson Collective. And along with that partnership came a name change. We were formerly known as Energy Accelerator, and we've aligned our new name, Elemental Accelerator, with Emerson Collective's initiative for the environment, which is aligning the relationship between humanity and nature, and that's called Emerson Elemental. So to align ourselves not only within our mission, but also external facing as well, we changed our name to Elemental Accelerator.
And that's why we're calling the show, It's Elemental, My Dear Watson.
Love it.
You say Elemental, My Dear Vincent. So how's this going to change things for you?
Well, the name also better communicates the work we do beyond energy. We fund companies in water, in agriculture, as well as transportation and cybersecurity. So we've expanded our scope, and we've been expanding our scope for the past couple of years.
So tell us how you have evolved, your cohorts have evolved, Who's been in your cohorts? How many have you had? And where is it going to go now, you think?
Sure. We've closed applications at the end of May, and so we are currently in due diligence for our 6th cohort. Vincent's a part of our 5th.
And each cohort has how many members?
12 to 15 companies. So this year, about 400 companies took the first step to apply, and we'll at the end of our due diligence process, we'll have a cohort of about a dozen or so.
Did you bring any application forms with you?
I didn't. It's all online, elementalaccelerator.com.
Okay. Yeah. What do you do for your cohorts? I mean, what do you provide for them? What do they provide for you?
Yeah. So we provide 2 primary things for our cohorts, one of which is funding, and the other one is relationships and strategic relationships, to be more specific. And that's the piece of our program that's highly customized towards each company, because each of them needs something different. So Smart Yields won't need the same thing as IBIS Networks, which is another one of our local cohort companies. And so we introduce them to people, customers, investors, and strategic partners that can help them scale.
That can be really critical.
How long is your program, Lauren? I mean, is it like a year, or is it 6 weeks, or is it forever?
Well, companies are portfolio companies forever. We form very long-term relationships with them. On the go-to-market track, the program lasts about 8 months or so.
That's when you're intensive.
Yeah, and we're working with them pretty intensely on their customer strategies and entering new markets. And on the demonstration side, where we're helping companies deploy projects here, those last somewhere between 12 to 18 months.
What happens at the end? Do you get a little certificate with a little frame? And is that the end? I mean, they have to go and never darken your doorstep again?
Never knock on our door again.
Do they come back? Do you have reunions, for example?
Yeah, well, we do about a biannual, what we call a CEO summit or family reunion, where all of our companies are invited to get together and form relationships cross-cohort, because they know each other pretty well within their cohort.
They talk to each other during the program.
Yeah, and they come together about 3 or 4 times for 3 or 4 weeks in Hawaii and Silicon Valley. And then we also like to connect them cross-cohort as well, and that's what the CEO summits and family reunions are for.
What do they do for you? Ask not what you can do for them. Ask what they can do for you.
Yeah, well, each company donates 1 to 6% equity back into our nonprofit, and that goes to help fund future cohorts.
So if they're successful, you're happy.
Yes, yeah, that's how we align ourselves with their success. We're bought in.
That's why you want to have reunions too.
Yeah, just check out. But they also are a big part, like the portfolio and the cohort is a big part of our program. And we love to see companies collaborate, and the best CEOs are those that form two-way relationships with each other.
Great. Successful organization. You guys have grown like Topsy, and you've had great effect. Have you got any national, what do you call it, where they come out, what do you call it, a first offering, what do you call it?
An IPO.
IPO. Have you had any IPOs out of your cohorts? Tell me now.
We haven't had any IPOs, but we did have our first cash exit, which was an acquisition. Last year, it was a company called Brightbox Technologies.
Heard that
and
name.
they were acquired by Nextracker, which does solar tracking.
So that's a success.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
very
great.
exciting for
That's
us.
gret.
Mhm.
And you can say, well, I made that happen. I helped them out. I knew them when they were
Pretty
young
good
children,
start.
like young pups. They came to me, and I gave them nourishment and ideas and a little money,
I know,
contact.
Growing up.
So, Vincent, is that happening for you?
Yeah, we're really excited. So as Lauren said, we are in the current go-to-market track for the Elemental Accelerator. So we had our big demo day in April. And I can't tell you how they've been really helping us as a part of a growth accelerator model, which is different from some of the other programs that we've been through as well. So it's all about proving your strategy and kind of scaling it beyond just Hawaii. Obviously, the Asia-Pacific region is the core for Elemental.
So, does that appeal to you, actually, Lauren? I mean, to have a global company on your hands, you want them to be global.
Yeah.
The bigger, the better. The more global, the better. So, when he tells you he wants to go global, you think, go for it. Yeah.
We want to help companies scale.
Right here in
is just
Hawaii,
sort of
fabulous.
our
Yeah.
test bed. We
Put
want
us
to
on the
scale
map.
beyond.
Yeah. So what kind of company is it exactly? When I say smart yields, I actually think of stock market.
You're not the first one, Jay. So we fondly call ourselves Fitbit for Farms, or an extension agent in an app. And what really we've learned over the last 18 months that we've been hacking away at this in the startup culture is that it's a really big problem, and it requires a really big solution. And I think where we started even before we entered in our first accelerator program, Blue Startups, to where we are now, we're in a completely different space. It's
That happens.
Yeah, it does.
That happens. When you get into the creative process, you have to be flexible, and instead of going this way, you decide, well, I think I'll go that way.
we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
And thankfully we have programs like the Elemental program, who have been a really blessing, breath of fresh air for us too, because it's all like, we trust you, but what are your problems and how can we help you resolve it? It's as she said, it's very customized.
So I have so many questions. Forgive me if I dodge around here, but so you wake up in the morning and say, I'm troubled. At 3 o'clock at night, I was troubled about something bothering me, some kind of thing that's creating an obstacle for my development of my company. So you call up in the morning, you say, Lauren, I want to tell you how troubled I am. And she answers you. She tells you, is that how it works?
Yeah, kind of like, you have a little button, you push it, and all this on the back door.
That's very nice of you, Lauren.
No, but obviously Lauren handles communications, so we have Warren, who's our coach, and he handles the go-to-market track. So we're in constant communications with him. And he does
Does that mean every day?
I would say at least once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, in the beginning, leading up to the the interactive week, we were chatting multiple times a week.
Example of conversation.
What's going on? How can they help us?
They're affirmative. I mean, they're proactive.
Very proactive.
They say to you, what's going on? They call you up and say, Vincent, we need to know what's going on.
We had weekly kind of little scrum meetings, video calls, and it was very, whatever is going on, whatever you're thinking about, let's kind of talk about it, and it could be anything.
Are they going to put you in touch with experts or just business partners? Lauren mentioned, they're going to give them sort of Rolodex kind of information and get contacts. But are the contacts experts that you could bring in-house as contractors, or are they business partners you might do business with in Bolivia?
It was actually all of the above. So,
okay.
Be it a pitch coach or a story coach, which they're kind enough to really kind of help us craft messages. To the real aspect that I really enjoyed was the peer-to-peer. So a lot of the
another company doing similar things,
and a lot of that, from a mentor perspective, you can have a lot of great folks who've had a lot of good experience, but when you look at where we are in this day and age and the challenges we're having, as for example my role as the CEO business side, it's never better to actually talk to another CEO and just kind of over a drink or whatnot say, hey, I got this problem, what do you think, or how have you resolved it?
Yeah, I know what happens next, because I know Sharon well enough to know the question she's going to ask you. Okay, Sharon is going to ask you. I'll leave it to her to ask you, but she is going to ask you. So, Vincent, what are your challenges?
That was what I was going to ask you.
So, the biggest challenge that we see today is how can we really support small farmers? And, to kind of not to go too much into the market concept, but essentially 570 million farmers in the world, and 99% of them are small farmers. Mm-hmm. So how can you create a technology to appeal to them? And that obviously it's very different. Yeah, it's very different. It's not the typical corn, wheat, soy. You don't have huge mechanized tractors that kind of drive by themselves. You have a very, obviously you're very income contingent, right? You have a lot of challenges with very diversified crops. And then it's beyond that. It's how you get the harvest to market. It's how you get the commodities in terms of the price point. It's how you pay those farmers. I mean, it's a huge challenge.
You're talking about every aspect of agriculture.
Yeah.
So I'm a farmer in Bolivia. I always pick that country. And I'm having a little trouble. I mean, I need help, and I'd like to take advantage of your technology. And I call you up, I say, Vincent, and I say this in Spanish, by the way.
See?
Vincent, I need help with my farm. It's not going that well. I need to use technology. I need to improve my yields. How can you help me? What can you do? What happens then?
Yeah. So first and foremost, depending on the crop that you're working with, and obviously we have to pick and choose crops that we can actually, have experience with. But first and foremost, we don't prescribe that we know how to grow your crops better than you do. But when you talk about pests, when you talk about other factors related to that, that's an area where, every farmer will obviously want support on. And it's the data that is really key. And what we've learned is it's not just about showing data on a platform or numbers. It's what you do with that data. Sure. It's the insights from that data. Sure. Yeah, and that's the piece where, I would say, the last 18 months, the ahas have been, okay, we have this platform. Okay, here we go. We'll show the graphs and the numbers, and they're like, well, what do I do? How do I change it? Or what do I infer? So if you have a pest problem, a bug problem, which everyone does, it's figuring out when those pests migrate. What are the environmental factors?
And as a farmer, I wouldn't necessarily know that. I need to have a larger expertise on that.
Yeah, and let's pull it back home a little bit as an example. You have the coffee berry borer beetle, right? CBB, which obviously also affects a lot of the other countries that, for example, that border you, where you are. And the theory is that CBB migrates based on humidity. But what is that humidity number? So the awareness factor is really key. And then it's about what is the right time to apply your chemicals or pesticides or things like that. So one, you can reduce the risk. You can slow the movement. You're not going to stop it. You can slow it. And then you can save in a lot of the costs.
Okay, but
How do you create that data set? I mean, I'm just kind of
exactly.
curious.
That's my question.
Okay. that one. But anyway, how and where, how big do you go? How small do you go? Is it pests, or is it, the soil, and what kinds of crops? I mean, and how do you connect that to your actual constituents, the actual farmer? You can go on the iPad or iPhone. Like how do you make that connection or get your base together?
Yeah, it's a really challenging subject because there is a lot of data out there. There is, between general weather data, or you have some really amazing nonprofit NGO groups like Conservation International that's deployed thousands of weather stations throughout Africa. The biggest challenge is aggregating that data into one platform so you can see that resolution,
Lots of
which is,
data.
lots of data. And then the question of the accuracy of the data is the other big thing. How accurate is this? So redundancy and looking at different factors, because if you make a decision based on that data point, you better be darn sure that that data point's accurate.
My whole crop could die.
Yeah. So
So you program a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
well, luckily we have a Justin. So our Justin is our CTO. So he's the programmer. So it's something that we have to piecemeal and look at all the features, a lot of things we want to do, and say, okay, what do we start with? What can we deploy within 2, 3, 4, 5 months? And what do our customers want?
So you would adapt the program or the modules of the program to the company and to the company's needs. Does the program live on the web, or does it live on this fellow's computer in, what's the capital of Bolivia? Bolivar.
No, it's in the cloud. It's in the cloud.
It's in the cloud. It's all in the cloud. So you can see it while it's happening.
Yeah.
Are you going to, enter data in the other end, or is this person going to, have a sort of fixed system where he accesses it and you just watch without, active participation?
That's actually a really big key of what differentiates Smart Yields from other competitors is the metadata. So, anyone can watch a data point go up and down or stay the same, but why did it do that? And that's the piece on recipes that we're really trying to answer. Because, for example, you as a farmer in Bolivia, the first and foremost question everyone asks is, what should I grow? Are the crops that I'm currently growing in the microclimates on my field, are they the optimal crops to grow? And really it's how can I change my recipes to fit every single microclimate?
Yeah.
So
So you got to keep
complex.
on putting more data in there.
Yeah.
It's just like every Friday you update all this data. We're going to take a short break, okay? And when we come back, we're going to find out what Lauren thinks of Vincent. Whoa, ready? Okay, we'll be right back after this break.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, which streams live on thinktechhawaii.com, uploads to YouTube, and broadcasts on cable OC16 and Olelo 54. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.
Freedom. Is it a feeling? Is it a place? Is it an idea? At DiveHeart, we believe freedom is all of these and more, regardless of your ability. DiveHeart wants to help you escape the bonds of this world and defy gravity. Since 2001, DiveHeart has helped children, adults, and veterans of all abilities go where they have never gone before. DiveHeart has helped them transition to their new normal. Search diveheart.org and share our mission with others, and in the process, help people of all abilities imagine the possibilities.
Well, we're back. We're live. I'm Jay Fidell. This is Think Tech here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy with the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and Sharon Moriwaki, co-chair of that forum and co-host of this show. Hi again, Sharon.
Hello.
So we have a movie, we need to sort of refresh. We're going to have this movie. Can we play the movie now and learn more?
Of all of the places and all the wonders that she'd seen, Hawaii was the most resilient, the most accepting to change.
This movement is real. That our convictions lead to innovation, lead to conservation, that technology must serve ecology. And you can hear the world breathing.
We've now deployed over $20 million to companies, and they've gone on to take that funding and raise over $350 million of follow-on funding. We also have implemented over 28 demonstration projects in Hawaii and the Asia Pacific.
Nicholas Flanders, co-founder and CEO of Opus 12. Virtually anything that you can make from oil, we can make from CO2. We're recreating photosynthesis, but at warp speed. A single unit will have the power of 37,000 trees in the volume of a suitcase.
There is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar market globally for these energy technologies.
Swiftly is a big data platform that analyzes billions of data points to help transit agencies become more efficient. In total, we've now launched this platform in 29 cities, and we impact 2 million transit riders every single day.
Lisa Lee, I'm the VP of Marketing at Vidgely. Our system allows their utility to provide insights on their energy usage by appliance to reduce their energy bill by a couple $100s each year. We are on our 25th utility in about 12 countries around the world.
Terraviva is commercializing an oilseed tree crop called Pangamia. Very proud to announce here today, we are going to be planting 2,000 acres of Pangamia, and we're going to bring 20 jobs back to that particular part of the state.
My name is Arcady, and I'm here to introduce FreeWire Technologies. We've gone global already with customers such as Vector, who's in the crowd, and as of this morning, we've signed a deal with Dubai Electricity and Water Authority to scale the product up in the Middle East as well.
So at WaterSmart, we work with water utilities and help them to better understand and effectively communicate with their customers. WaterSmart now works with 60 water utilities in 12 different states.
We could be a part of a paradigm shift from an economy that is fundamentally extractive to one that is circular. Nature figured this out millions of years ago.
Because for our mission of healing and strengthening the symbiosis between humanity and nature, there is not a place on this planet that plays greater host and offers greater evidence that we can succeed than Hawaii. So we're so proud to have the accelerator be at home and then grow that journey, find its way across the Pacific and ultimately beyond.
2, 1. Okay, we're back. We're live. Now we're going to have a retrospective on the movie. Lauren, what was that movie all about? Why? And what did it include? And what was the general purpose of it?
Yeah, that recapped a week with us and our companies in Silicon Valley. We do this yearly, and the week culminates in an event called EEX Interactive, where this year over 20 of our companies presented to more than 200 investors and strategic partners and corporates. And so each of them got up and did a 2-minute pitch, and that was followed by a really nice soiree.
Yeah, very nice movie. Well done. High values. And Vincent was in the movie.
I was. I was pitching.
How did you like the experience? What did you do?
That was amazing.
What happened?
It was probably one of the hardest pitches I've done, especially for an A-list audience.
Oh, there's 200 people out there.
Yeah. But the shorter ones are always, in some respects, harder, especially since there's no slides.
Yeah, really.
And you're just standing
2 minutes,
there.
You got to really put it together.
Yeah. Can't just blab on.
So do they ask you questions, or it's just a presentation? Boom, boom, boom.
There's Q&A at the end. Yeah, of every group.
So what was the most challenging part of that?
I knew you'd ask that question.
I like challenges.
I sense a commonality here. No, it was really good. It was very well done, and I'd fortunately done a lot of pitching in the last 18 months, so I both found it very challenging, but also very gratifying. It was a lot of fun.
You get all the right answers.
Yeah. Luckily, the question that was asked, I knew.
That's great.
So
you like Vincent then?
Yeah, Vince's amazing.
Okay.
Great to see
So so therefore you included him. You don't include everybody who applies, for example, to be in a cohort.
Mhm.
Why did you include Vincent and Smart Yields?
Yeah, we look at a few things when selecting companies, a mix of the technology, the team and the people involved, as well as their fit for this market here. Because what we do with companies, we introduce them to our network here and introduce them to partners. And we've found that we provide the most value when they're interested in this market or markets in the Asia Pacific.
So you want to encourage companies that are in this market, yeah?
Yeah, we want to help them start here and scale.
Yeah. Now earlier on, you were the energy accelerator.
Mhm.
So now you're beyond that. So what kind of things, and you still cover energy, of course,
Yes. Mhm.
but what kind of other things suit your fancy?
Yeah, we're interested in agriculture as well as mobility, so transportation solutions, as well as cybersecurity and resilience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Across
As it relates to energy. And,
we at Think Tech are interested in all of those things. Send us your tired, huddled masses yearning to be rich.
Yeah, we align in interest categories. And then water, of course.
Water, of course. Oh, what a great array of things to do. You know, ultimately, that'll have a huge effect on the world, actually, on the world, I say.
Yeah, we like to think in systems and not just impact like one channel of that system.
Good.
We want to.
So you take the lessons that you've learned in dealing with and helping, you know, cohorts in one area, and you put them in another area. Now you can be more general in how you help people.
And that works for places as well. So we take lessons learned of the work we do here in Hawaii, and we're hoping to replicate that in other geographies.
How do you sleep at night? Yeah.
Well,
you don't sleep at night. So what do you think of Vincent? I mean, how's he doing? I mean, you know, you took him to the program. How long ago was it?
April.
April.
Well,
that's
we had a
only
kickoff in
90
April,
days. Yeah.
And then February was the start of the program.
Okay, how's he been doing? Just between us.
They've been gaining a bunch of traction. They've raised some money and they've gotten accepted into a new program.
You've got the program.
Yeah, we're
how about that? What program is that?
Program.
We have to know more.
Vatican Blessed program.
Vatican Blessed program. How much detail can you provide?
A little bit. So we were very, very fortunate. So they made a call out to the world, and His Holiness created what's called Laudato Si.
Talking about the Pope?
The Pope. His Holiness the Pope.
Talking about the Pope.
The Pope. And it's focused on climate change and what we need to do to take care of Mother Earth. Of course.
He'd be all in favor of that. That's perfect.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Amazing to see, especially from the different Catholics I've talked to. They're like, yes, we're very familiar with that, and that's something that I hadn't really known much of. So it's a challenge to the entrepreneurial community to take really tough challenges like food and solve that through technology.
Wow. You must be so proud.
Yeah.
The prospects are enormous, really enormous. I mean, in every country, every place, agriculture is always going to be relevant and necessary. How do you cope with the other elements of technology in agriculture? For example, how do you deal with GMOs and things like that?
You know, we have to stay neutral in all aspects, and really it comes down to how can we feed the populations, because in our lifetime, in the next 30 years, we'll have another 3 billion mouths. So if you think about the 1 billion that are already starving, that's a lot of food we need to produce. And the only way we can do that is if we switch from, you know, international or regional to local growing. We all have to grow.
I can just see the pitch now. They say, Vincent, tell us what kind of market you want to serve. Well, let's see. It's what, 11 billion, 12 billion, hungry mouths. And then Lawrence says, we like that. How about the technology? You got to follow the technology too. You can't be static about it, yeah?
You know, I'm a big fan of not reinventing the wheel. And if it's already out there and it's successful, let's integrate that and let's move on. So, you know, our platform is hardware agnostic. We integrate third-party hardware, you know, and really it's about data aggregation. And then what we've learned even more, like I mentioned earlier, it's about what you do with that data and how you can put it back, give recommendations to that small farmer so they can collectively in a community work together. Wow. So a huge aspect that we talk about is workforce development, you know, especially for non-traditional farmers.
Workforce development on the farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you give them advice.
You're losing farmers until you can make it, you know, much more lucrative, much more exciting for like the students coming out of school.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, aside from Bolivia and the Vatican, what about local here in Hawaii, NE? What's happening?
Yeah. So we're excited. We're actually going to be at the Urban Garden Center workshop on Friday and Saturday this week, talking to small growers and home growers and small farmers. And our app is just going to be released to the App Store, so they'll be able to buy a package and help irrigate some of their plants.
What's the name of the app? Don't say Smart Yields.
It is.
So what's in Smart Yields? If I bought it, what do I get?
So you essentially get, you know, it depends on your conditions and what you want to accomplish and what your crops. You know, we don't prescribe a one-size-fits-all, but it's really, you know, what kind of farmer are you? What kind of home grower are you? You know, how many plants are you growing? What diversity of crops are you growing? So all those factors kind of, you know, and really what kind of pain points you have, you know. So irrigation or automating irrigation is a big issue because if you can keep your soil, you know, moist and alive, then that's a lot of the hurdle. But the other thing too is, picking what plants grow well in the environments that you have. So the awareness factor. So maybe you're getting too much sun or too little sun, and that's automatically a failure in terms of the success of the growth of this plant.
Well, Lauren, we're almost out of time. Sorry. But I would like to offer you the opportunity to kind of make a closing statement on behalf of the elemental. It's elemental, my dear Watson. Kind of elemental about, why of all the cohorts that you have, cohort members that you have, did you select, I guess you made the selection, Vincent to come down? And what do you want people to take away from this discussion about the accelerator and about Vincent?
Sure. So Vincent and Smart Yields is a very interesting technology and team, which is why they're a part of our program. And even more interesting than that, they not only do work in agriculture, but thinking place-based here, they also do work in education as well. And those two aspects are very important to us, being able to innovate for the here and now, but also looking into the future as well, and growing the next generation of innovators.
Yeah, I only want to say, Vincent, that after you've done these big projects ahead of you, and you've had a profound effect on agriculture and therefore humanity in the world, I hope you'll come back and talk to us some more. Don't be a stranger.
Yes, tell us about the Vatican Bless project that we have.
Sharon, you want to close? This is your big opportunity.
Okay. I really appreciate Lauren coming down. Finally, we get to hear about Elemental Accelerator and also bringing Vincent. Thank you, Vincent. And we look forward to a number of these projects. They're cohort 6 now. So they're propagating quite a lot of entrepreneurs for the world, not only in energy, but beyond. So we appreciate that. So thank you very much, and keep the work going forward. We look forward to hearing more about you.
All right, it's elemental, my dear Watson. Thank you so much, you guys. Been a great discussion. Aloha.
Thanks for having us.